Talia opened her amber eyes to unfamiliar blue skies, her vision blurry and consciousness fragmented. She tried to move, but pain shot through her slender body, pinned beneath twisted metal debris of her scout ship the Ziri commander had been pursuing. Unknown signals at the edge of charted space when her vessel was hit by an unexpected asteroid field. She remembered emergency protocols activating automated landing on the nearest habitable planet, then nothing but darkness and pain, now as awareness. Returned, she realized the gravity felt stronger here than her homeworld, making every movement a struggle. Her translucent skin with its characteristic blue glow was fading, a sure sign. Her life force was weakening. Silver blood pooled beneath her, from a deep gash across her torso where ship components had pierced her exoskeleton. The bioregenerative systems of her species, normally efficient, were failing without proper nutrients. Talia knew she was dying. The nearest Ziri outpost was light years away, and her emergency beacon damaged beyond repair. This unnamed planet would become her grave. She closed her eyes, accepting her fate with the calm dignity expected of Ziri scouts. A sudden noise startled her, footsteps approaching cautiously through the underbrush surrounding her crash site. Talia reached weakly for her translator device, hoping to at least communicate with whatever native species found her remains. The foliage parted, revealing a human female dressed in worn outdoor gear. Sturdy, boots and a jacket with many pockets. Her hair was golden like the sun and pulled back from her face. Her eyes widened at the sight before her, but showed no fear, only concern and curiosity. Lisa Banks had been tracking unusual meteorological patterns in this remote forest for her environmental research when she witnessed the small craft plummet through the atmosphere. Unlike many who might flee, Lisa approached with scientific interest and humanitarian concern. The human woman knelt beside Talia, examining the wreckage and wounds with methodical precision. She spoke words Talia could not understand until she activated her translator device, which began converting the sounds to Ziri language. "Can you understand me?" asked Lisa. Her voice translated into the musical tones of Ziri speech. Talia nodded weakly. "Yes, your language is in our database." Lisa looked relieved. Lisa Banks, environmental scientist. Going to help you." She pulled supplies from her backpack, inspecting the silvery blood and unusual anatomy before her. "My biology is different from yours," Talia managed to say. "Our chemical composition incompatible. Your medicines will not work." "I am dying," Lisa frowned, studying the alien with determined eyes. "I refuse to accept that without trying." "There must be something in your ship medical supplies, maybe." With Talia's guidance, Lisa searched the wreckage, finding a small medical kit with substances unfamiliar to human science. The Ziri explained weakly how each component worked, but most required Ziri biological material to activate properly. Lisa examined a cylindrical device with particular interest. What is this?" she asked. "Blood purifier." Talia whispered. "Used for toxin exposure, but requires living Ziri cells to function." Her breathing grew more labored. Lisa looked from the device to her own arm, then back to the dying alien. "I have an idea," she said. "It might not work, but we have to try." She rolled up her sleeve, exposing skin that appeared remarkably similar to Talia's, despite the different coloration. "What if we combine our biological material?" She proposed. "Your device with my cells as catalyst. Could that work?" Talia struggled to focus her fading consciousness on the scientific possibility. "Never been attempted," she said. "Incompatible chemistry could accelerate my death or potentially create new compounds. Our bodies share some elemental bases despite evolutionary differences. It's worth trying." Lisa insisted, preparing the device according to Talia's instructions. She extracted a sample of her own blood, placing it in the chamber meant for Ziri genetic material. The machine hummed uncertainly, processing the human substance through filters and catalysts designed for alien biology. Lisa then connected the output to Talia's circulatory system, watching anxiously as the processed material entered the alien body. At first, nothing happened. Then Talia convulsed, her bioluminescent skin flaring brightly, before dimming almost completely. Lisa panicked, thinking she'd made a fatal error. but continued the procedure, having committed to this course. Several agonizing minutes passed with Talia completely still. Then suddenly, her skin began to glow again, this time with a new pattern of luminescence. The silver blood at her wound site changed color slightly, taking on a faint reddish tint where it mixed with the processed human material. Talia gasped, her eyes flying open. Their color had changed subtly with flecks of green, similar to Lisa's eyes now visible in the amber. The wound on her torso began to close as new tissue formed faster than normal. Ziri healing would allow, it works, Talia whispered in disbelief, observing her own transformation. The human biological components are adapting, integrating with my systems. The chemical impossibility becoming possible. Lisa smiled with relief, continuing to monitor the process until Talia's condition stabilized. Over the next hour, she created a shelter, using materials from the ship and her own supplies, keeping the alien woman comfortable as the unprecedented healing continued. When night fell, Lisa maintained a small fire, providing warmth in the cooling forest air. Talia observed the human with newfound fascination. "Why did you help me?" she asked, her voice stronger now, though still carrying the musical quality of her species. "You could have left me to die or called your authorities." Lisa considered the question carefully, looking up at unfamiliar stars visible through the forest canopy. "Science is about discovery," she finally said, "and compassion is about connection. I couldn't walk away from either." She smiled, adding, "I was also incredibly curious about you." Days passed as Talia regained strength. Lisa brought food and water from her research station, sharing what was safe for Ziri consumption based on Talia's guidance. The alien woman recovered with remarkable speed, her body forever altered by the human biological material now integrated within her systems. On the 5th day, Talia stood without assistance, her luminescent skin now pulsing with a slightly different pattern than before. She approached Lisa, who was documenting the crash site with scientific precision. "I must tell you something important," Talia said. "My mission here was not accidental. I was sent to investigate unusual energy signatures from your planet, energy that matches ancient Ziri prophecies." Lisa looked up from her notes, intrigued. "What kind of prophecies?" "The convergence," Talia explained. "A time when two biologically compatible species would join, creating something greater than either alone. My people have searched for centuries for our cosmic counterparts. The signals led me here to Earth, to humans. The crash was unplanned, but our meeting was perhaps destined." Lisa digested this information with scientific skepticism, yet could not deny the evidence before her. The biological compatibility between their species defied conventional xenobiology. The healing process had created something unprecedented. "What happens now?" she asked. Talia gestured to the night sky becoming visible as evening approached. "My people need to know. My ship communications are damaged beyond repair, but the emergency protocols would have sent my last coordinates before the crash. They will come searching eventually." Lisa considered the implications. First contact with an alien civilization happening, not through governments or military, but through a scientist and scout in a remote forest. The revelation could change humanity forever. "We should prepare," she said. "We need to document everything, establish communication protocols, develop a plan for peaceful contact." Talia nodded in agreement, but her expression grew concerned. "There are others who search for the convergent species, not all with peaceful intentions. The Drax Collective sees such biological merging as threat to cosmic order. They would destroy rather than allow." Lisa absorbed this warning, understanding that her chance encounter had placed her at the center of something far larger than environmental research. What had begun as a simple act of compassion was evolving into something with galactic implications. "I need to contact certain scientific colleagues," Talia said. "People I trust who can help prepare humanity for what's coming." The alien woman looked toward her damaged ship, then back to Lisa with newfound determination. "The biological merging we experienced, it was only the beginning. The prophecies speak of shared consciousness, enhanced abilities, new possibilities when our species truly join." Lisa recalled the subtle changes in Talia's appearance since the procedure, the flecks of human green in her amber eyes, the altered pattern of her bioluminescence. Were these external signs of deeper transformations? That night, as they sat beside the fire planning their next moves, Lisa noticed her own hand occasionally emitting a faint blue glow, similar to Talia's skin. The connection between them was not one way. The alien biology was affecting her too, changing her at a cellular level. Talia noticed it as well. "The convergence begins," she said softly. "It cannot be stopped now that it has started. Our biology calls to each other across the stars for a purpose greater than either of us can fully comprehend." Lisa extended her faintly glowing hand and Talia reached out to touch it. When their fingers connected, a surge of sensation passed between them, not painful, but intense, like something awakening. "Tomorrow we begin the real work," Talia said. "Our peoples will either find a new future together or face threats that neither could overcome alone." As stars wheeled overhead, two women from different worlds contemplated the dawn broke over the forest, casting golden light through the trees. Lisa awoke to find Talia standing beside the remains of her spacecraft, hands outstretched, palms facing the wreckage. The aliens' luminescent skin pulsed with intense blue energy as pieces of metal began to vibrate and shift. "What are you doing?" Lisa asked, watching in amazement as small components floated toward Talia, assembling themselves into a compact device communications array, Talia explained. "Without breaking concentration, the human biological material has enhanced my natural electromagnetic abilities. I can manipulate metals now, something my species could never do before." Lisa approached, slowly observing the precision with which Talia controlled the fragments her own hands occasionally emitted the same faint blue glow that had appeared the previous night. She felt a strange tingling sensation followed by a slight pull toward the metal debris. Experimentally, she extended her hand, focusing her thoughts on a small piece of the ship. To her astonishment, the fragment trembled, then rose shakily into the air. "It's happening to me too," she whispered. Talia nodded, continuing her work. "The convergence affects both species. The changes will continue as our cells further integrate. The prophecies speak of shared abilities evolving beyond either species' original capabilities." For 3 hours they worked together, Lisa quickly learning to control her newfound abilities. As the sun reached its zenith, they had assembled a functioning communication device from the wreckage. Talia activated it, sending a coded signal into space. "Now we wait," she said. "My people will receive this, but it could take days for them to respond. We should use this time to prepare." Lisa agreed, suggesting they relocate to her research cabin several miles from the crash site. There she had supplies, technology, and isolation from potential discovery. The journey took longer than expected, with Talia still recovering and adapting to Earth's gravity, but by nightfall they reached the small wooden structure nestled deep in the forest. The cabin was simple but equipped with solar power, satellite communication, and basic scientific equipment. Lisa had been conducting environmental research for months, living self-sufficiently away from civilization. She now realized how fortunate this isolation would be for first contact. As Talia examined the human technology with curious eyes, Lisa prepared a meal, adapting her limited supplies to accommodate the aliens' dietary needs. The Ziri could consume some earth proteins and carbohydrates, but required different mineral compositions. "You live alone here?" Talia observed, glancing around the single-room cabin with its efficient organization. Lisa nodded, setting out plates. "It's better for my research, less distractions." She hesitated, then added, "And I prefer solitude. Most humans find me too intense, too focused on science." Talia made a musical sound that Lisa recognized as laughter. Through their growing connection, "Our similarities extend beyond biology," she said. "Ziri scouts are chosen for their independence and scientific curiosity. I, too, preferred isolation until now." After eating, they sat beside the cabin's small fireplace, comparing notes on their respective worlds and scientific knowledge. The biological connection between them seemed to facilitate understanding beyond the translator device, as if concepts flowed more easily between their minds. "I can almost see your homeworld when you describe it," Lisa remarked. "The floating research center's crystal architecture." Talia looked surprised. "I was not being that detailed in my description," she said, studying Lisa with renewed interest. "The connection is deepening faster than I anticipated." That night Lisa dreamed of worlds she had never seen, cities built within massive Crystal formations beneath crimson skies, she experienced memories that were not her own, feeling the exhilaration of Talia's first spaceflight and the solemn ceremony when she became a scout. She awoke to find Talia sitting beside her in the darkness. The alien woman seemed troubled, her luminescence dimming and brightening. In irregular patterns, you accessed my memories, Talia said softly, not intentionally. I believe the neural connection grows stronger. Lisa sat up, feeling oddly energized. Despite the early hour, I saw your world, your experiences, she confirmed. It's beautiful. The crystal cities. Talia nodded, her expression growing serious. There is something you need to see as well, she said, placing her cool, slender hand against Lisa's temple. Close your eyes. Lisa complied, feeling an immediate rush of sensation. Images flooded her consciousness, but these were not memories of Xeria. Instead, she saw massive crystalline ships approaching, Earth vessels belonging not to the Xeri but to something else entirely, something ancient and threatening. Drax Collective, Talia explained, withdrawing her hand. They monitor all signals related to the convergence. My communication has likely alerted them. They will come to prevent what is happening between our species. Lisa processed this information with growing concern. How long do we have? Talia looked toward the window where the first light of dawn was appearing. Perhaps weeks, perhaps days. Their technology allows faster travel than my people possess. We must prepare quickly. Next morning, they began transforming the cabin into a command center. Lisa used her environmental research equipment to scan for unusual atmospheric disturbances that might indicate approaching spacecraft, while Talia modified the communication array to detect Drax frequencies. By midday, their growing abilities manifested in new ways. Lisa discovered she could sense electrical systems around her, feeling the flow of energy through devices like an extension of her nervous system. Talia found her strength and density increasing, her body adapting to Earth's gravity by becoming more human-like in its physical properties. They need to contact human authorities, Lisa realized, but hesitated, knowing the potential chaos such revelations might cause. Most humans would panic at the news of alien contact. The underground facility hummed with tension as technicians monitored approaching Drax vessels. 3 scout ships had entered Earth's atmosphere, positioning themselves in a triangular formation high above the continent. Their crystalline structures reflected sunlight, making them visible even without advanced tracking systems. Lisa and Talia stood at the center of a circular chamber, surrounded by equipment designed to amplify their electromagnetic abilities. Colonel Harris directed operations from a command station, while Dr. Wright continued monitoring their biological readings. They seek us specifically, Talia said, her voice echoing in the chamber. The Drax can sense the convergence energy we emit. They will pinpoint our location soon. Lisa nodded, feeling the alien presence like a pressure against her mind. The scouts are just the beginning, she said. They report back to the main fleet. Olivia approached, carrying 2 lightweight helmets fitted with delicate sensors. These should help focus your electromagnetic output, she explained. The amplification system will multiply your natural abilities 100-fold. As they prepared, Colonel Harris received an urgent communication. Satellite imagery shows the scout ships are deploying smaller vessels, he reported. They appear to be search craft. Time was running out. The small team had managed to keep the alien arrival hidden from public knowledge, but if the Drax began a more visible search, mass panic would follow. Lisa and Talia donned the specialized helmets, feeling the immediate enhancement of their abilities. Their shared consciousness expanded, the electromagnetic sensitivity increasing exponentially. Through this heightened awareness, they could now perceive the Drax vessels with perfect clarity. They are crystalline beings, Talia explained, sensing Lisa's unspoken question. Their bodies and technology are one integrated system. That is their strength, but also potential weakness. Certain frequencies could disrupt their molecular cohesion. Dr. Wright monitored the readings with growing excitement. The neural synchronization between you is reaching unprecedented levels, she said. Their brainwave patterns have harmonized completely. Colonel Harris nodded grimly. Impressive, but can they generate enough power to affect the scout ships? They are still beyond our conventional weapons range. In answer, Lisa and Talia joined hands. Their luminescence intensified, creating a visible aura around their bodies. The electromagnetic field they generated together caused nearby equipment to flicker. The team watched in amazement as monitoring devices registered energy levels climbing beyond predicted parameters. "We need to warn them first." Lisa insisted we should attempt communication. Before attacking, her scientific ethics remained strong despite the threat. Talia agreed. "The Drax may be misguided, but they deserve one chance to withdraw, using the amplification system." They projected a simple message toward the scout vessels in frequencies the Drax would understand. "Warning. This planet is protected. The convergence will not be stopped. Withdraw, or face resistance." The response came swiftly. One scout ship adjusted position, directing a focused energy beam toward the general region of the facility. The beam swept across the landscape, searching for their exact location. "They reject negotiation," Talia said, her expression hardening. "Now we must act together." They focused their enhanced abilities, directing a precisely modulated electromagnetic pulse toward the nearest scout ship. The energy traveled invisibly through the atmosphere, targeted specifically to the frequency that would disrupt Drax crystalline structures. On monitoring screens, the team watched as the scout ship began to shimmer, its perfect geometric form distorting slightly. The vessel halted its scanning beam, apparently affected by the attack but not disabled. "Not strong enough," Lisa observed. "We need more power." Colonel Harris spoke urgently with facility technicians who adjusted power flow to the amplification system. Warning lights flashed as the equipment was pushed beyond safety parameters. Lisa and Talia felt the increased energy flowing through them. Their shared consciousness expanded further, revealing new possibilities. They no longer needed physical contact to maintain their connection. Their thoughts and abilities flowed together as if they were a single entity in two bodies. With renewed focus, they generated a second pulse, stronger and more precisely targeted. The energy struck the scout ship, creating visible distortions across its crystalline surface. Small fractures appeared in its structure, spreading like cracks in ice. The vessel began descending rapidly, emergency protocols evident in its erratic movements. The remaining two scout ships immediately changed formation, positioning themselves defensively, energy weapons charged, targeting the general area of the facility. Though they still had not pinpointed the exact location, Talia received impressions from the Drax consciousness, flashes of anger, fear, and determination. The collective considered the convergence an abomination against cosmic order, a threat to their crystalline purity. "They will not retreat," she told the others. "They would rather destroy this entire region than allow the convergence to continue." Colonel Harris conferred rapidly with his security team. "If those ships fire at full capacity, we cannot evacuate in time. We need to disable them first." Dr. Wright approached with urgent news. "Your biological transformation is accelerating," she told Lisa and Talia. "The stress of combat appears to be catalyzing new changes. Your cellular structures are reorganizing at an incredible rate." Lisa could feel the changes within her body, her senses expanding beyond normal parameters, her connection with Talia deepening until the boundaries between them seemed to blur. "What does it mean?" she asked. Dr. Wright shook her head in scientific wonder. "I believe you are approaching the final stage of convergence. The prophecies Talia mentioned. Whatever new form emerges will likely possess capabilities we cannot predict." One of the remaining scout ships fired a warning shot. A beam of concentrated energy struck the ground, 5 miles from the facility, creating an instantaneous crater 300 feet wide. The message was clear. The next shot would not miss. "We need to evacuate," Colonel Harris ordered. "This facility cannot withstand a direct hit." "No," Lisa and Talia spoke simultaneously, their voices harmonizing in an unusual manner. "We must complete the convergence. It's our only chance before anyone could object." They moved to the center of the amplification chamber, removing the helmets and equipment that now limited rather than enhanced their abilities. As they stood facing each other, their luminescence intensified, creating a sphere of blue-white energy around them. Dr. Wright monitored the readings with scientific awe. "Their separate biological signatures are merging," she reported, the distinct human and Ziri patterns becoming a single unified field. Outside the underground facility, the two Drax vessels converged their weapons, charging for a coordinated strike that would obliterate everything within a 10-mile radius. Their sensors had finally detected the exact location of the convergence energy. Within the chamber, Lisa and Talia reached for each other no longer. Two separate beings, but aspects of something new emerging. Their physical forms began to blur, the boundaries between them becoming indistinct as energy patterns rather than solid matter. Colonel Harris ordered final evacuation protocols as warning systems blared throughout the facility. Most personnel fled toward underground bunkers, but Dr. Wright refused to leave, continuing to document the unprecedented transformation before her. The Drax fired their combined energy beams, streaked toward the facility with devastating power. The ground shook, structural supports began to fail as the attack penetrated the earth above them. In that moment of crisis, the convergence completed. Lisa and Talia ceased to exist as separate entities. In their place stood a single being, luminescent skin, patterned with both human and Ziri characteristics. Its eyes held the amber of Talia's species flecked with Lisa's green, its form both solid and energy simultaneously. The new being raised a hand as the Drax attack reached the chamber. Instead of destruction, the energy beam seemed to pause, frozen in space. Then slowly the attack reversed, flowing backward toward the scout ships. The convergence entity had redirected the Drax weapons against them, using principles of physics beyond current scientific understanding. Outside the facility, both scout ships shuddered as their own energy struck their crystalline structures. The vessels fractured, brilliant light escaping from growing fissures in their hulls. Before they could recover, the convergence being projected a wave of electromagnetic energy unlike anything previously recorded. The Drax ships dissolved, their molecular bonds disrupted at the quantum level. The crystalline fragments fell harmlessly to Earth, no longer weapons but merely inert minerals. In the damaged chamber, Dr. Wright approached the transformed being with scientific wonder and human awe. "What are you?" she asked. Both Lisa and Talia, or something else entirely. The being turned, regarding her with eyes that held ancient wisdom, yet recognized her with personal familiarity. "D are the first convergence," it answered, its voice carrying harmonics impossible for a single vocal system. "Neither human nor Ziri, but the beginning of something new. The balance the universe requires." Colonel Harris returned to the chamber, surveying the destruction and the miraculous being at its center. "Is it over?" he asked. "Are the Drax defeated?" The convergence being shook its head. "This was merely the advance scouts," it explained. "The main fleet approaches. They will arrive in 7 days. Their response will be far more aggressive now that they know the convergence has been achieved." The White House Situation Room filled with grim-faced officials as Colonel Harris presented evidence of the alien encounter. Satellite imagery showing the destroyed Drax scout ship's scientific data on the convergence, and finally secured video footage of the transformed being created from Lisa and Talia. The president leaned forward, studying the evidence with intense focus. 7 days until this main fleet arrives," she asked, her voice calm, despite the extraordinary circumstances. 7 days, confirmed Colonel Harris. The convergence being is certain of this timeline. Dr. Wright stepped forward, presenting biological data. "The transformation we witnessed represents an evolutionary leap beyond anything in scientific records," she explained. "Neither human nor Ziri, but a perfect synthesis creating capabilities. We barely understand." Defense officials debated immediate options ranging from nuclear deterrence to global evacuation scenarios. Intelligence analysts argued over public disclosure protocols, while scientific advisors recommended continued research into the convergence phenomenon. The president silenced the growing debate with a raised hand. "Where is this being now?" she asked. "In a secured research facility." Colonel Harris replied, "It's helping us prepare defenses against the Drax fleet, but it insists on speaking with world leaders directly." Hours later, in an underground bunker beneath the Pentagon, world leaders gathered via secure channels for an unprecedented meeting. Convergence being stood at the center of a reinforced chamber, specially designed to contain its electromagnetic emanations, yet allow communication. The being spoke, its voice carrying harmonic overtones that seemed to resonate with listeners on a cellular level. The Drax Collective approaches with one purpose: to prevent the evolution our joining represents. Their crystalline consciousness perceives biological adaptation as chaos. They seek perfect, unchanging order throughout the universe. The Russian president spoke through translators. What exactly do you propose? How can Earth defend against such advanced technology? The Chinese premier added. Our conventional weapons proved ineffective against even their scout vessels. The convergence. Being pulsed with blue energy, I alone cannot defend your world, it stated. The solution lies in expanding the convergence, creating more beings. Like myself, Dr. Wright explained the implications. Based on our analysis, the merging process that created this being could be replicated with other compatible humans and Ziri. But we have only one Ziri. The German chancellor noted. Where would we find more? The being turned its gaze toward the video screen. The main Drax fleet will be preceded by a Ziri science vessel following my original distress signal. They approach hoping to rescue their scout. They must be contacted and convinced to join our cause. A plan formed rapidly with world leaders authorizing unprecedented cooperation among military, scientific and intelligence communities. Space agencies redirected satellites and communication arrays to broadcast messages toward the approaching Ziri vessel. Colonel Harris established a global defense network coordinating military resources, while Dr. Wright led scientific teams studying the convergence biology, seeking ways to facilitate and accelerate the transformation process. 3 days later, at a remote military base in the Nevada desert, the convergence being suddenly pulsed with intense light. They come, it announced, sensing something beyond human detection systems. Satellite operators confirmed the approach of an unidentified vessel entering Earth's atmosphere, its configuration matching Talia's original scout ship but larger. The Ziri had arrived. Unlike the hostile Drax approach, the Ziri vessel requested permission to land, transmitting peaceful intentions in multiple Earth languages. The ship descended gracefully, touching down on the desert floor with minimal disturbance. A delegation of military and scientific personnel led by Dr. Wright and Colonel Harris awaited its arrival. The ship opened, revealing 5 Ziri, their translucent bodies glowing with the same blue luminescence Talia had displayed. Their leader stepped forward, identifying herself as Science Director Mira. We received our scout's distress signal, she said through a translation device. Where is Talia in answer? The convergence being approached, its dual nature immediately recognizable to the Ziri visitors. Mira stepped back, her luminescence flaring with surprise. The prophecy, she whispered. The first convergence. I was Talia, the being confirmed, and also Lisa Banks, human scientist. We have joined, becoming something new. The Drax approach to prevent more convergences from occurring. The Ziri delegates conferred among themselves, their musical language untranslatable, but their concern evident. Finally, Mira addressed the human delegation. Our legends speak of this moment, the beginning of a new cosmic balance. The joining of compatible species to create guardians against forces of stagnation. We need your help, Dr. Wright explained. The Drax main fleet arrives in 4 days. Your biology, your technology could help us defend. Earth Mira studied the humans. With scientific curiosity, my crew are all volunteers for the Scout program. She said, we understand the risks and possibilities of contact with compatible species. We are prepared to assist. Within hours, the military base transformed into an advanced research center. Ziri technology integrated with human equipment, creating systems beyond either species, individual capabilities. The convergence being supervised, the process, its unique perspective bridging the knowledge gap between the two species. Dr. Wright worked directly with Mira, analyzing the biological compatibility between humans and Ziri. The process that merged Lisa and Talia was traumatic, occurring under life-threatening conditions, she explained. We need a safer, more controlled method. The Ziri scientist agreed, demonstrating medical devices from their ship that could facilitate cellular integration without risk. After extensive testing, 5 human volunteers were selected from military and scientific personnel, each paired with a Ziri volunteer. Colonel Harris observed the preparations with strategic focus. Will 10 be enough, he asked. Considering the size of the approaching Drax fleet, the convergence being considered this. The transformed beings will have significant capabilities, it explained. But you are right. We need more defenders. Mira revealed additional information. The Drax fear the convergence because their legends speak of the third wave, a point where sufficient merged beings create a field effect spreading the transformation, without direct contact, their perfect crystalline order threatened by rapid adaptation. Dr. Wright recognized the scientific possibility. Such a field could theoretically alter compatible biology within its radius. She said, if we achieve enough convergences, we could create such an effect. The first controlled merging proceeded under careful supervision. The human and Ziri volunteers connected through specialized equipment, monitoring their vital signs as their biology began to integrate. Unlike the traumatic, emergency merging of Lisa and Talia, this process progressed gradually, allowing both consciousnesses to adjust. After 12 hours, the transformation completed. 5 new convergence beings emerged, each unique in appearance, but sharing the same luminescent, skin-enhanced abilities and dual consciousness. They joined the original being in a circle of light, communicating through methods beyond conventional understanding. We sense the Drax more clearly now, one of the new beings reported. They bring planet-killing weapons, crystalline technology designed to shatter Earth's tectonic stability. Another being added, they fear us. They would destroy an entire world to prevent the third wave with this confirmation. Colonel Harris accelerated defense preparations. World militaries positioned their forces according to strategies developed with convergence insight. Space agencies prepared limited orbital defenses, while civilian populations in potential target zones were quietly evacuated. The 5 remaining Ziri crew members paired with selected humans beginning the second wave of transformations. As each new convergence being emerged, the collective consciousness expanded, creating a network of shared awareness and amplified abilities. On the 6th day, with 11 convergence beings now working in concert, global monitoring systems detected the Drax fleet entering the solar system. 15 massive crystalline vessels approached in perfect formation, their purpose unmistakable. We are not ready. The original convergence being stated, we need the third wave. Dr. Wright studied the latest biological readings from the transformed beings. There appears to be a threshold effect, she noted. The field requires at least 20 convergences to become self-sustaining. Colonel Harris received reports from space monitoring stations. The Drax have increased velocity. He reported they will reach Earth in 18 hours. The convergence beings gathered, focusing their combined abilities to scan the approaching threat. The Drax weapons are charging, one reported. They intend to strike without warning or negotiation. In the final hours before the Drax arrival, 9 more human volunteers stepped forward, agreeing to merge with replicated Ziri biological material, synthesized using the alien medical technology. Each transformation proceeded faster than the previous as the existing convergence beings lent their energy to the process. World leaders authorized final defensive measures while maintaining public calm through carefully managed information. The truth of humanity's situation remained known only to those directly involved in the response as the Drax fleet entered Earth's orbit. 20 convergence beings gathered in the Nevada desert, their combined luminescence creating a pillar of light visible for miles. The energy field between them pulsed. The Nevada desert glowed with unearthly light as 20 convergence beings stood in formation. Their energies merged into a single field. The third wave manifestation began as a subtle ripple in the air, expanding outward in concentric circles of luminescent energy. Dr. Wright monitored the phenomenon from a nearby bunker, recording unprecedented readings as the field reached the theoretical threshold. It's becoming self-sustaining. She reported to Colonel Harris. The energy pattern is stabilizing and expanding at an exponential rate. The colonel studied satellite imagery of the approaching Drax fleet. The crystalline vessels had entered standard orbit, positioning themselves for a synchronized attack. Weapons ports opened on each ship, glowing with accumulated energy. Soon they would release a coordinated strike designed to shatter Earth's geological stability. How far will the convergence field extend? He asked, calculating defensive possibilities. Dr. Wright reviewed the data. The beings theorize. Global coverage within 6 hours, she said. But the Drax will attack before then, in orbit. The massive Drax vessels completed their attack formation. Final targeting systems locked onto strategic geological fault lines around the planet, preparing to trigger catastrophic tectonic events that would render Earth uninhabitable. The crystalline commanders communicated in frequencies beyond conventional detection, sharing a single purpose: eliminate the convergence threat by destroying its planetary source aboard the lead vessel. Supreme Commander Vex observed the energy readings from the planet's surface with growing concern. The third wave had begun earlier than their calculations predicted. If allowed to complete the field, would not only transform compatible biology but would disrupt the crystalline coherence of Drax physiology and technology. Begin the attack, Vex ordered. All vessels fire simultaneously. Maximum dispersal. Earth. The 20 Convergence beings sensed the imminent attack there. Collective consciousness expanded, perceiving the precise targeting of the Drax weapons and the devastating consequences. Should they succeed, we must accelerate the field, the original being communicated to the others. We need more energy. The convergence. Collective joined in deeper harmony, their individual forms becoming less distinct as they channeled more power into the expanding field. The air around them ionized, creating visible patterns of electromagnetic energy that spiraled upward toward the atmosphere. In the command bunker, Dr. Wright watched in amazement as monitoring equipment registered a massive surge in the field's strength and propagation speed. "Look," she told Colonel Harris, indicating global sensor readings. "The field has reached the upper atmosphere. It's expanding faster than predicted above Earth." The Drax weapons fired. 15 beams of concentrated energy streaked toward the planet, targeting fault lines, volcanic zones, and tectonic boundaries. The attack designed to trigger simultaneous geological catastrophes across all continents. The convergence field met the incoming attack high in the stratosphere. Where energy beams contacted the luminescent field, they seemed to slow their destructive power, diminished, but not neutralized. Several beams penetrated the incomplete field, striking their targets with reduced but still significant force. Across the planet, seismic monitors registered disturbances as the attacks reached geological weak points. Minor earthquakes erupted along the Pacific Ring of Fire, while dormant volcanoes showed sudden activity. The Drax strategy was working, though, with less effectiveness than intended. In Nevada, the convergence beings sensed the planetary damage. Their collective response was immediate and intuitive. Rather than simply strengthening their defensive field, they adapted its properties. The luminescent energy began flowing into the planet's geological systems, stabilizing tectonic boundaries and absorbing seismic vibrations. Colonel Harris received reports from global monitoring stations. "The earthquakes are subsiding," he announced. They managed to counteract the worst effects, but the Drax attack continued. Seeing their initial strike partially neutralize the crystalline vessels, adjusted their weapons, generating new frequencies designed to penetrate the convergence field. Commander Vex analyzed the field patterns, identifying weaknesses in its coverage. "The convergence is still incomplete," he determined to his fleet. "We can still prevent its completion." On the second attack wave, the Drax targeted their weapons on the Nevada desert itself, seeking to eliminate the convergence beings directly. The concentrated beams struck the protective field with greater intensity, creating visible distortions as they pushed against the luminescent barrier. In the collective consciousness, the 20 beings communicated at speeds beyond normal thought. "We cannot maintain the planetary healing while defending ourselves." One observed, "We need to choose, we need to expand faster." Another added, "The field must reach completion." The original being formulated a strategy. "The Ziri vessel contains energy crystals," it communicated. "If we channel those resources, we can accelerate the field. But we'll sacrifice our ability to defend this location." Understanding flowed through the collective. Without verbal discussion, they reached consensus. The planet's survival took priority over their individual safety. With unified purpose, they redirected, their energy focusing on field expansion. Rather than local defense, Dr. Wright noticed the change immediately. The protective barrier around this facility is weakening, she told Colonel Harris. The beings are prioritizing global field expansion over local defense. We need to evacuate. The colonel ordered all personnel to fall back to secondary positions as the bunker's structural integrity monitors registered increasing stress. The Drax weapons were beginning to penetrate the weakened local defenses above. Earth Commander Vex observed the tactical shift with cold calculation. They sacrificed themselves to complete the field, he noted. We must eliminate them before the field reaches critical coverage. All Drax vessels concentrated their fire on the Nevada location. The combined attack created a blinding beam visible from space as crystalline energy poured toward the 20 beings below. In the desert, the Convergence Collective maintained their position even as the facility around them began to disintegrate. The beings stood unwavering within their fading local field, channeling all available energy toward global expansion. Dr. Wright watched from the evacuation helicopter as the research facility collapsed under the concentrated attack. Dust and debris clouded the impact zone, obscuring the Convergence beings from view. They sacrificed themselves, she whispered, feeling a profound personal loss for the beings that had once been her colleagues and friends. Colonel Harris received updates from Orbital, monitoring the Drax continue their attack. But the convergence field is still expanding, he reported. It's reached 60% global coverage in orbit. Commander Vex reviewed the damage assessment. Victory appeared certain. The convergence source had been eliminated, though the field continued expanding from residual energy. Without the beings to maintain it, the field would eventually dissipate before reaching completion. Order the fleet to disperse. Vex commanded. We will monitor from safe distance until the field collapses, then resume planetary elimination. The Drax vessels began repositioning, moving away from the expanding field to avoid potential contamination. As they adjusted formation, sensor operators detected an anomaly rising from the planet's surface. From the dust and destruction of the Nevada desert, a column of pure luminescent energy ascended toward space. The 20 convergence beings had merged completely, abandoning individual form to become a unified entity of unprecedented power. The column struck the nearest Drax vessel, penetrating its crystalline structure without resistance. Where the energy touched the ship systems, they transformed crystalline patterns, shifting into new configurations. The vessel stopped responding to fleet commands, its communications replaced by a harmonious frequency that echoed the convergence itself. 2 more vessels suffered similar fates as the luminescent energy branched out, reaching them before they could retreat. The transformed ships began generating their own convergence fields, amplifying and accelerating the global expansion. In the command bunker, now relocated to a secure underground facility, Colonel Harris and Dr. Wright watched in astonishment as satellite imagery showed the transformed Drax vessels joining the Earth-based field, creating a web of luminescent energy that now enveloped most of the planet. What's happening? Dr. Wright wondered aloud, studying the readings. The convergence isn't just defending Earth. It's expanding beyond our atmosphere. Within hours, the field achieved complete planetary coverage. Every human with compatible biology experienced subtle changes, enhanced perception, increased empathy, and awareness of a larger consciousness, connecting them. Zeri genetic potential awakened in those most receptive, creating millions of partial convergences around the globe. The remaining Drax vessels attempted to flee the solar system, but the expanded field reached them before they could achieve sufficient velocity. Commander Vex watched with dawning comprehension as his fleet transformed one by one. The crystalline vessels changed their molecular structure, becoming compatible with the new pattern of existence. The perfect unchanging order giving way to adaptive evolution.